We've had a lot of chances to perhaps put it out of sight, but similarly, at that stage, when we're just creeping into added time and, the 90 is up really, we should be able to see it up, maybe to break through the middle. Were we too honest in that situation? And then, James Henry's dug out a cross, but similarly, Matt Taylor's sort of well beyond the far post as well when he's headed it in, and it's a very, very frustrating result, I suppose, in terms of the current results. I do think, though, in terms of Bristol Rovers and then Oxford, our standards have got higher, and they are very high. But ultimately, it's 2 points out of those 6, and that's the bottom line.
Will you take heart from that performance then?
I think we have to, say that the last 2 games we've played quite well, and in a lot of our play, our standards have got higher. But you do need to be able to follow that through. There's a number of late goals in both games that have cost us when we're in control of the game, and there's been a few like that this season in terms of the Coventry game as well. When you're looking at the points we've lost rather than gained from, let's say, positions through some good play, and in terms of performances, some good performances as well, and some promise. Oxford come here with obviously a very, very good recent record, and with a lot of respect for what they've done at the back end of last season and so far this season, and most importantly. So it was a big game for us, but ultimately we're disappointed. We're disappointed with the nature of the goal, where we couldn't get tight to Henry, but it's still a very, very high and loopy cross where, as I said, the ball's headed in from sort of past the far post, and it's a frustrating finale. Still had a couple of efforts after that, and would want to be putting those in. So yes, frustrating one. 2 points out of the last 6 for the performances, and the way the games has gone is disappointing. A number of late goals in that as well, which when we've worked so hard to get ourselves in control, we have to try to set standards in our performance, and I always try to raise it. But closing games out is a big part of that, and it's something we're not doing at the moment.
I asked you before, can that become psychological, or is it so?
The whole game's psychological. It is what it is, and you want to be coming through those periods, and we had other chances to go further ahead in both halves, but similarly, we do need to be able to then defensively see things out when it's a ball from almost right on the touchline, and a loopy ball as well. And as I said, Matt Taylor's headed it in from beyond the far post, and it is a disappointing goal, a simple goal, and it's sort of gone through Craig, if you like, and in terms of a header back, from an angle. And it's very, very frustrating because we're putting an awful amount of work. But similarly, there's some standards that are raising, I do feel, but we need to close it out definitely, and a point today, 2 points out of the last 6, if you like, with Oxford and Bristol Rovers isn't what we want, and we've got ourselves in good positions many times this season, and it's very frustrating.
High points for you might have been McCrory and Williams' performances today.
Yeah, a lot of energy, for Ryan. He got in good positions, and obviously we would have liked to have put those situations out and away, for Ross. Just has to maybe just be careful of the bookings. We don't want to curb his natural enthusiasm, and I do think that there's obviously a player there, because we've persevered with him and persevered hard, with his situation, and he does bring an attacking intent from right back, which is the intention definitely. And as I said, all he has to do now as an individual is just be careful with the bookings and the situations he's putting him in, which he can. He's a good player and will continue to progress as the season goes on.
Is that why he was substituted near the end?
Yeah, it was, and we didn't want to have to go down to 10 men in that situation, and also just generally to see if we could perhaps slow the game down slightly.
It is 1 loss in 8, so do you have to take comfort from that as well?
We're disappointed now, 100%. There's no sort of hiding that fact. There's 2 draws that, looking at the last 2 games, have been disappointing results for us. Standards generally pretty high today for what we did and were last week, but the bottom line is there. We need to be either putting the game away, so the consolation goal don't matter, or similarly, and most importantly, being good enough to be able to see it out.
game coming up on Tuesday, does that help or hinder?
It helps always. You have to look forward. You have to, say that there's some pretty good standards there in terms of what we did. You have to replicate that, work hard to try to get ourselves into a good position again if we can, and then, be able to see it over the line is a big thing so far this season.